All right, welcome those who are here and those who are coming to watch this video later. We're going to go ahead and start our live session. Today is February 13th, so happy early Valentine's Day to everybody today, which is technically tomorrow. Hope everybody has a great holiday week. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Our topic today is how to create an engaging PowerPoint. And specifically, we're going to talk about activity 2.5.1. Now, I'll get into the details of that in a second. To start off, same rules apply as always. Make sure you sign in. Be aware that this session is being recorded. Make sure that you hit join audio and then mute yourself once you join in. If you are here and the sound becomes muffled or you can't hear or can't see anything, just let me know. Either unmute yourself and let me know or send me a chat message. And then if you have questions at any point throughout the presentation, definitely feel free to send me a chat message and I'll be happy to do what we got to do to make the session as effective for you as it can be. Okay, again, going over expectations. If you are here live, I would love for you to participate. If you're just coming back to watch later and there's questions that you have on any of the material, please reach back out to me at any point on a private individual chat message or an email or a text or whatever works for you, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have. So you can ask questions about the material, you can give ideas, give feedback. Just make sure that anybody that does participate in any way, that we are all respectful of that person and of all the things that they have to say, so we can make sure that this is an open, safe place to talk. Okay, so this is going to be our agenda for today. We're going to spend the first 15 minutes or so kind of just introducing the topic of the PowerPoints, and really it may even be less than 15 minutes because I assume that most of you know the basics of PowerPoint by this point. We're just going to go over a few of the basic tools. We won't spend a long time on it because, you know, like I said, I think this is something that pretty much everyone has had to do at least once by this point, but just in case there are those who do need to know just the basics, we will go over those quickly. What I want to spend the majority of our time working on is looking at activity 2.5.1 from World Civ Semester 1. So this first half will be all about creating a PowerPoint, and we'll see if there's any questions. And then this second half will be about that activity from World Civ Semester 1, which is create your own civilization. This is an assignment that I think gets misunderstood quite a bit, so I wanted to go over what is expected in that assignment really clearly so that there's no confusion. And then we'll have some questions and answers at the end. Okay, as most of you know, when you begin a PowerPoint is basically just a way for you to share information in a visually pleasing way. Remember, you're not writing an essay, you're not creating just blocks of text. I think that's one thing that happens on PowerPoints a lot. People writing whole sentences, whole paragraphs, just a lot of information and very little that's exciting to look at. So one thing we're going to talk about today is really taking advantage of all of the different tools that PowerPoint has. And there's going to be way more than we even cover today in our session, because there are so many things that you can do to make your presentation, your slides look colorful and engaging and exciting and make people want to pay attention to your presentation even before they know what it's about, just by seeing what the slides themselves look like. So, obviously we're going to want to include images, words on your slides. You're going to want to have shapes or colors or different backgrounds. So we'll kind of go into those details. And this one I love for any Lord of the Rings fans out there. If you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, it's okay, I forgive you. But for those that are, this is a little meme, a play on that movie where it says, one does not simply make a PowerPoint without knowing their audience. This is Boromir, for anybody that's unaware. It is so, so important. I can't stress enough how important it is to know your audience. If you are making a presentation for a very casual setting, then yeah, spice it up, do crazy, flashy, colors and funny pictures, or, make sure that the level of propriety or appropriateness is fitting to the audience that you're talking about. If you're making an academic slideshow, for example, you want to refrain from using like profanity. So don't use profanity, don't use swear words. You don't want to use words, even simple words like stupid or dumb or things like that. You want to avoid those in academic writing, even on an academic PowerPoint, because you still want to maintain, you can have fun with your slides, but you still want to maintain a certain level of professionalism. So make sure that you know your audience, and that'll kind of help direct what tools you want to use within the PowerPoint options. Okay, our goal is to be like this sweet little dude right here. PowerPoint skill level expert. We're going to go over just 5 basics of PowerPoint about how to customize it, how to make it really yours. And so we'll do those really quickly, and then we'll get into that other assignment that we have. Okay, the first thing that you're going to do is choose your background. Now, there are so many options for this. So to kind of show you what I mean, we're going to go, oh, hold up. I'm going to exit out of this really quick. And we're just going to open up a brand new PowerPoint. Okay, a blank presentation. So when I first open PowerPoint, this is what I see. It's white, it's pretty boring. There's only one slide. So if I want to make my slide exciting, my whole presentation exciting, the first thing to start with is the background. So if you go up here on your bar up here to design, there are tons of backgrounds that you can choose from. And even from among those backgrounds that you choose, there are even different color options. So let's say you want it to be flashy, you want to go to this green one, or you want one that's a little bit more feminine. You could choose that one, or you know, whatever it is. There's a million options you can choose. So we are going to choose this one right here. Okay. Now I've chosen my background. It's got a little bit of design. It's got a splash of color. Now I'm going to have to add obviously a title. You always want to have the title of your presentation and your name on the very first slide that you do, because I need to know as your reader what your presentation is even about. When you are ready to add a new slide, you come over here to new slide. There are tons of options that you can choose from. So you can choose any one of these and customize it as you go, but you can add one that has a section for a title and either text or a picture. You can add some that have you know, a picture with a caption, content with a caption, a comparison where there's 2 different sections of text. So there's tons of different types of slides that you can add in by just going up here under the home button to new slide. You can choose from among those. You can also just come down here where all of your slides are shown and right click where it says new slide. If you just click on that, it'll just give you the default one, which basically has your title and then has a box where you can type text, or you can add photos, or you can add shapes or images that you find on the computer, on the internet, whatever you want to add. Okay, so that's your first basic thing, is choosing your background. Now, second, your titles. Now, this is something that I think is sometimes overlooked as well. You need to have a title for every slide in your PowerPoint. Even if you just say, you know, this is continued from the previous slide, that is still helpful to your reader, because otherwise, if you just have a slide that has a picture or has a bunch of information, I don't really know what you're referring to on that slide. And so it's really helpful for whoever you're showing your presentation to, for them to know what this information is about, what it is that they're looking at. Third, the insert option. Okay, I'll show you these in a little bit more detail. You can insert text, you can insert pictures, you can insert shapes. So let's go back over here. So if I come up here to my work bar and go to insert, I can go to pictures, I can go to, and this lets me take pictures that are saved on my computer. I can go to a photo album on my computer. I can even just click over here, table, chart, video, online pictures, or pictures. I can click right here on the actual slide itself, click that, and it'll have me look up whatever picture I want to insert right there as well. So you can do it from here in these boxes, or go up to the insert option up here. You can also insert shapes. So let's say I wanted to make mine a little bit more exciting by adding an arrow. Right here, right? So we'll say from my title, I wanted to add a little arrow right here. Voila, just as simple as that. Now with this arrow, let's say I don't want to have it filled in. You come up here, click on the arrow, it'll go to format, which allows you to change things about whatever it is that you just inserted. Shape fill, I want to have no fill, I just want to have the outline. Okay, so I click no fill, there's my arrow just outlined. Or let's say I want to fill it with yellow. Here we go, outlined in red, filled in with yellow. If I want to do the outline in yellow also, there we go. So anyway, it's pretty simple. There's a lot that you can do with shapes. You can add, you know, titles. Let's go back to insert, go back to shapes. There's these little, they're almost like banners right here. So I could add something like this. If I wanted to type something at the top of my slide, let's say I don't want to fill that in because I want to type something, right? So now I have a little banner at the top of my slide where I can add words, I can add text. So that's another thing we can do. Insert a text box, right? So I can do that and insert a text box even just within different shapes or in any section of the page that I want to, any section of the slide. So basically when you go to insert, there are limitless options for what you can add in. You can see all these other ones. You can do links to different websites. You can insert embedded videos or embedded documents, you know, things like that. And that obviously gets a little bit more involved than we're going to get today. But there's just tons of stuff that you can do with PowerPoint. So anyway, so there's a lot of insert options. So let's head back to our other slide real quick. Okay, so we got our background, titles, different things you can insert. Now animations. Basically an animation is something that allows you to have different words on your slide or different pieces of your slide show up at different times. So you don't even have to, you don't have to use this option by any means, but it's really useful if you are actually presenting your presentation to someone rather than just, you know, submitting the file to a teacher or something. Like for example, with this slide right here, you can see the basics of PowerPoint is what it started with. And I'm just clicking one by one each of these lines. That is possible through a tool called animations. So the way you do that, if we come back down here, well actually I'll just bring you back to this one. Okay, so let's come maybe up to this expectation slide. Let's say I didn't want all of these to appear at the same time, because as it is right now, if I just click on that slide, the whole thing shows up at once. And let's say I want to let each of these lines show up one at a time, okay? So if I were to do that, I would click on these, on this text section, and I would go up here to my bar where it says animations. And what's cool about this is that you can choose a bunch of different ways to have the words appear on your screen. So if I want these to each show up one by one, I would say add animation. I can choose to have it appear really fast. It can fade in, it can fly in from the bottom, it can fly in from the side, it can come as a wheel. And if you don't get what I mean, I'll kind of show you. So this is the fade in one, right? So if I click on that, it's numbering, should be numbering each of these, so that if I come back to this slide, slideshow. Okay, expectations. Oh, it had them all show up together, actually. But it had it show up without that actual title. So if I do this, let's go back to animations. We might have to do these as separate text boxes. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it's numbering them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can adjust these as needed. So this will show up first, second, third, fourth. So right now, because we have it on fade, I'll show you what that looks like. So it just, the words fade in. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can change it instead to be Let's do the wheel where it kind of rolls its way in. Kind of cool, right? So it just has the words appear in different ways. Anyway, so there's a lot of different things you can play with on that setting of animations, but that's just one more way you can make your presentation exciting to look at. Okay. And very last, creativity. Now, the whole purpose of making a PowerPoint rather than just submitting a paper or submitting an essay is that you get to make it exciting. You get to make it fun, and depending on what your topic is, you can really take it and be as creative as you can possibly be. Make the background fun, make the pictures fun, you can add humor, you can add understanding. I think we can see and understand so much more as an audience when there are pictures or graphs or images involved that we can look at to help our brains understand in a different way. A lot of people are visual learners, and it helps them to see things rather than just read them. So those are kind of the basics of PowerPoint. So if there's any of those that you have questions on, or if there are other specific tools within PowerPoint that you want me to take a look at or that you have questions about, let me know. So that's going to be our pausing point for our technical skill. And because it looks like nobody at this point has had any questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to our actual assignment. Okay, so activity 2.5.1. I want to actually show you guys what this assignment is. Okay, in World Civilization Semester 1, you are creating a civilization. It's called Civilization Builder. The first and most important thing that I want to stress with this assignment, this is the most misunderstood part of the assignment. You are not describing a civilization that really existed. You are creating a fake civilization. You're making it up from scratch. And that sounds, maybe that sounds tricky, but the truth is, it actually is really fun because you get to decide everything about the civilization. And we'll go through the details one by one so you know what those requirements are. But you get to decide what the government's like. You get to decide what jobs people have. You get to decide, you know, the social classes, who are the most important people in society, who are the least important people in society. And you get to make it as fun or as goofy as you want. This is one of those assignments where I encourage you to get a little bit silly, a little bit ridiculous, so that you can have fun with it while also showing me that you understand the basic structure of a civilization. The point of it is that you have fun while demonstrating your knowledge of civilizations to me. So I'll go through these one by one, but this Civilization Builder assignment is all laid out for you right here. It tells you exactly what you need to have, okay? Starting with your first slide should be the title of your civilization, your name, and some kind of an image. And then you go into climate, landscape, and resources. That should take up 3 or 4 slides, and it is required. Then you describe your cities, 3 to 4 slides, it is also required. And if you're not sure what to write about, that's what all this stuff is for. You don't have to include every single answer to these questions in your slide, but these are ideas of what you can talk about in order to fill up 3 or 4 slides, because it is required that you have however many slides it asks for right there. So I'm going to kind of go through really quick what the basic requirements are for this assignment. So you can see as you go down, first slide, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 required topics. And each of those are multiple slides. So those are required topics. Then you have 4 choice topics, which means you have to choose 2 of those 4 things to write about. And then very last, you have a fun factor, which is just one that's purely for fun, as it says in the title. And that gives you a bunch of different options right here. You just choose one of those to write about. So let's go back to this slide so you can see it. So again, you are creating a fake civilization, not a real one. Do not submit an assignment that describes ancient Egypt and talks about actual ancient Egypt, or ancient Mesopotamia and talks about actual ancient Mesopotamia. It should be fake. So here are your required topics. I'll explain these pictures in a second. So these are all the things that are required. Your title slide, climate, landscape, and resources should be 3 or 4 slides. Cities, 3 or 4 slides. Government, 2 or 3. Jobs, and social classes. You have to have all of those topics. Now, choice topics, that means that you have to have 2 of these. You don't have to have all 4, but you do have to have at least 2. So among those, you can choose religion, writing, art and architecture, or public works. As long as you choose 2 to write about, you should be fine. So let's say you wanted to focus on religion and writing. That means you do not have to talk about art, and you do not have to talk about public works, okay? And each of those can be 1 slide if you choose. So at least 1 slide, you can do up to 2 slides. That's up to you. And then lastly, your fun factor. Now these are actually, the reason we call them the fun factor is that you can be really creative. You can choose to design a flag. You can create a myth that has something to do with the history of the people that live in this civilization. You can choose to explain, I'll show you. You can choose to explain a holiday or create a number system or create an alphabet. I used to do this all the time when I was in school, creating, you know, fake alphabets so you can write things in code. I mean, any of these things. Create a hero from your history. Like, you can make up a story about someone that that civilization views as a hero. So basically, any one of these things you can choose to write about. If we go back, though, to the requirements, if you actually add up all of these slides, even just the minimum, so where it says 3 to 4 slides, even if I just did 3 slides for climate, 3 slides for cities, 2 slides for government, if I did the minimum, your presentation should be at least 18 slides, which is a pretty long presentation. But remember, you don't have to fill every slide with a bunch of information, with a bunch of text. The point is to give us, you know, bullet points to talk briefly about each thing, and just to make it exciting to talk about, exciting to hear. But it should be a pretty big project. So it should be 18 slides long, at least. It can also be more than that. So the reason that I added these pictures on here is because, let's say I was creating this topic, and I'll just do this really briefly. I was creating this assignment, and I wanted to base my fake civilization around Christmas, because who doesn't love Christmas? So the first thing I would need to do is come up with my title slide, right? I have to create a name for my civilization. So for lack of a better idea, let's call it Christmasville, okay? So our Christmasville is going to be our name of our civilization. So I would put that, my name, and some kind of a picture on my title slide. So let's come back here. Let's actually change our design to maybe this one. Okay, so this is going to give us some red. So I'll come up here and say, oh, Christmasville. I'm going to take off this banner. So that was just to kind of show you how things worked. Oh, strange. Sorry guys, my mouse is not working super well. Okay, so Christmasville, I would put that title, my name, and an image on our first slide. Okay, then next, let's go back to our requirements. Okay, I need to have climate, landscape, and resources. And I need this to take up 3 or 4 slides. So let's say for climate, I'm going to use 1 whole slide to explain how 6 months of the year there's snow. There's snow everywhere because it's Christmasville, right? And then the other 6 months of the year, the snow melts so that we can grow crops, because we have to be able to find a way to supply food for our people. So 6 months of the year it's snow, 6 months of the year it's warm, it gets a little bit warmer and fertile. Then another thing I could talk about is the landscape, the animals that are there. You know, so obviously if it's a really snowy place, there may be reindeer, polar bears, narwhal. And I could have a whole slide explaining the animals. I could have another slide explaining what the shelters look like there, because that's one of the ideas in our topic. Right here in our description, come up here to climate, landscape, and resources. That's what I'm describing right now. These are all the different ideas of what you can talk about. So land and water features, you could do a map, like a topographical map of what the land looks like, which is something that you could either draw on like a paint app on your phone or on your computer, or it could be something that you find online that you download. Even if it's not, even if it's a real place, you can still use it to create this fake civilization. You can talk about, you know, what type of shelters there are, like what right here, what would their shelter be like based on the land around it? What type of resources you have, water sources, is there irrigation? What farming will you do? So there's so many options of what you can talk about. And again, you don't have to hit all of these. You just have to hit enough to be able to fill 3 or 4 slides on this topic, okay? Then if we come down to cities, okay, well, let's say within Christmasville, I want to have several small towns because we're going to say that this hasn't developed into huge, big cities. So I'm going to have several small towns that make up Christmasville. So I can maybe have a slide for each of those. Let's call one Candyland. One of them may be like Gingerbreadtopia, you know, something like that. Anything that is descriptive of the theme that I'm kind of basing my civilization around. And with that, you can talk about all these details for each of your towns. How is the town organized? Do you have special buildings or special temples? What's your housing like? What are the neighborhoods like? How are the houses laid out? Again, does each individual person have farms? Do you irrigate those farms? That kind of a thing. So this is plenty of information to fill 3 or 4 slides on your fake city. Now this part is pretty cool. Organized central government. So who is in charge? What type of government do you have? What rights and responsibilities do citizens have? And this is an important part too. This should be included in every main topic. Why did you make the choices you did? So why do I want to have small towns? Why do I think that there should be snow a lot of the year and there should be reindeer in our land? Why am I making those choices? That'll help you get full credit on your assignment. So let's say for this one, you know, from this unit, I learned what an oligarchy is because it's a type of government that we've covered in this class. An oligarchy is a civilization that is ruled by a small group of people. So I'm going to say in Christmasville, the type of government we have is an oligarchy, and the group that runs it is elves. It's a council of elves. So these elves are the ones that are in charge. You would think it would be Santa, right? But not in my civilization because I get to make everything up. So this oligarchy of elves run everything. They create the laws. They hear complaints from the people. If you want to speak to the oligarchy, the council of elves, you have to make an appointment and go and stand before them, ask questions. They could hand you a candy cane in order to give you the right to speak to them. I mean, there's so many details that you could do, so many individual things. Job specialization and social classes. Again, these are just 2 more topics. You can have jobs that are specific to your type of the theme for your civilization, or you can do basic ones that have existed in other civilizations as well. Like maybe in Christmasville, the jobs might be like gift makers, bakers, reindeer caretakers, you know, lots of different types of jobs. And then social classes. Now, these are the choose 2. So you can choose religions, writing, art and architecture, public works. There are 4 options. You must choose 2. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's one that gets missed quite a bit. And then lastly, your fun factor. Now, I just want to show you really quick before we end. This is the rubric that I use to grade these assignments. One of the most important things you need to see is that in exceeds expectations, in order to get the highest level of credit for each of the slides you do, you have to include why you made the choices that you did. You have to include that. If you don't, you would be in this category, which is not the highest score. Maybe all your elements are present, but they were general or missing why you made the choices you did. So it's important that you not only describe your civilization to me, but describe why you made those choices for your civilization. What made you choose to base it around that theme, or to have those resources present, or to make those social classes be in the order that they are. Make sure that you explain yourself. And then of course, if there are any that you miss, specific topics you miss, you would be in this category of does not meet expectations, which would unfortunately not give you a ton of points. So you want to include all the information you have to have and go into detail, be fun, be ridiculous if you want to, and then also include why you made the choices you did. And all of this should be using the information that you have learned from this unit, from this course, World Civilization Semester 1. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions on this activity whatsoever, let me know. Like I said, the main confusion is just that students think they don't realize that they're supposed to create a civilization. So make sure you know that. That this should not be based on a civilization that actually existed, but one that you are creating. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day and a happy rest of your February, and we will talk to you later.